WoW is like this eternal debate of what it could be, and it will never be because of Blizzard and their business model. And it's this eternal feeling of, oh man, this could have been so good. This could be so good. I've been feeling about that like that for about 20 years, bro. If they did this, it'd be so good. If they did that, it'd be so good. What do they do? Cool. I think with the Classic team, they care, but they just care about different shit, right? They're putting out fires. The team is not big enough to care about everything, right? They have to pick and choose. And this is the kind of thing that Blizzard's always too late on, right? They were late fixing, they were a season late fixing Cross Realm. No one could play, or they got forced to transfer off to some bongwater server with nobody to play with because all of their mates were on another server, and they're like, well, I guess I'll go play something else. I can't play. And then you wonder why people aren't doing PvP. But you killed it before it had a chance. Like, and now you don't care, which is fair. Let's see what Ben's got to say.
Is kind of around the corner.
You know what? Let's speed him up a little bit, like a light pepper and a speed.
I have mixed emotions about it. I think MoP will be fun, but one of my biggest problems, before I even read the Spin Poike post, one of my biggest problems with Classic and going into the old expansions is it's not the same as it was. Like, when you played Wrath, you went through a bunch of different patches that changed the games, right? Changed the meta, changed the games, changed what classes are good, what classes are bad. And when you go into, you know, the Classic versions, it happened in Classic TBC, it happened in Classic Wrath, it happened in Classic Kata. It's just one patch, right? So it's the whole, you know what classes are going to be good, you know what classes are going to be bad, you know what comps are going to be OP, and it stays that.
This is something that I was talking about a little bit, kind of to do with what he's saying, but it was, the sad thing about Classic is there's no hope, right? You know exactly what, like he said, what's going to be good, what's going to be bad to a degree. And broken shit will always be broken, right? Annoying shit will always be annoying. There's never going to be a patch that's like, hey, Sacred Cleansing's gone in Wrath, you know, for example. Whereas the first time round, you always thought, oh, maybe they'll actually fix this at some point. And some of the stuff they did, right? So it's like that feeling that you know they're never going to change it because of no changes or whatever. It definitely takes away from the experience a little bit, I think. So I agree with that.
The entire time. And I feel like probably the same thing's going to happen in MoP. I obviously have a lot of good feelings about MoP, but I just have my doubts about Classic PvP in general because, yeah, for lots of different reasons, actually. You know what? We could read this post.
I don't think just because it's on one patch that just straight away means that Classic PvP isn't good. I think that there's definitely a lot of depth to be found in it. And if Blizzard approach it correctly and don't instantly kill off the whole player base like they have done in the last, well, at least in Wrath, but Kata kind of just kills itself, right? But just like missing things, right? Like cross servers just weren't in at Wrath launch, so just kills it off massively at the start, if you remember the queues. Bad catch-up mechanics we had in TBC, like, so we didn't have the Kata conquest system in TBC. The honor farm was brutal. It was basically impossible to ult. It was annoying as hell. We had teams, you can cross server. There was like so many issues, right? That just make the game less accessible for people to just play and find people to play with, and then they just don't bother. Or they just quit. And I think those are the real things that kill off Classic PvP, not specifically what he's saying.
I'll probably skim through some of these ideas. He says he's got confirmation from WoW Classic devs that they will monitor a feedback thread on Arena PvP that I've just posted. So, yeah. He says, please participate and bring attention.
I think that this is copium. We literally had a Discord that Jammin mostly headed up for TBC, Wrath, and Kata Classic, where an absolute plethora of bugs and suggestions and advice was forwarded to Blizzard, and some of it was taken on board, and I think a lot of the bugs were found pretty early on through that. We probably won't have that this time around because Jammin has quit the game, and I think that's a huge detriment, and I think Blizzard are going to feel that big time. Now, they are lucky that a lot of the bugs obviously have already been found and dealt with in previous classics, but I think when TBC rolls around again, there's definitely some things that they could work on and improve. I don't think that this is the way to do that. I think just listening to the general public on anything is pointless because everyone is going to have different ideas. And not everyone is going to be knowledgeable on what they're talking about. They might know what they want, but they might not understand why they want that or why that's not a good idea, right? You don't ask the guy at base camp who's never climbed Everest what it's like to climb Everest, right? You just don't. So I don't think this is the right format for doing this. I think that they need to be cherry picking really specifically people with high levels of experience in PvP, PvE, classic, private servers, that kind of stuff in general, if they're going to take any feedback. It's like the Henry IV thing. If you ask people what they want to do, yeah. I mean, Blizzard didn't crowdsource the original WoW, right? They didn't crowdsource the original TBC. Like, take advice on certain things from people that know what they're talking about, and then make your own decisions using that advice, right?
I think this post, in summary, is a some changes post. Do we need to see some changes in MoP to actually make people want to play it? In my opinion, yes. We'll see what Poike thinks.
I do think they do. I don't agree. I think a lot of the stuff that Poike has posted here, and don't get me wrong, I think it's great that he's making an effort. And I think that most of the stuff he's asking for, calling for, is not bad or unreasonable. Like, I agree with most of the stuff he's asking for, but I think a lot of it is absolute copium that you would ever consider Blizzard to even remotely try and do any of it, because they don't have a big enough team.
And the community wants to see change.
They don't have the time. They don't have the willpower or like the reason to go and do these things, because they take too long and they don't benefit enough from it financially. So they're basically putting out fires, right?
Classic is probably have some of the most arena played in the entire world, so hopefully that qualifies me as a person that knows what I'm talking about.
See, like, Blizzard doesn't care about any of that, right? It's this is all true, and it all is on paper. Like, yeah, absolutely, you know what you're talking about. Blizzard doesn't care about any of that. They don't care. They will do what they think is fucking best and what they think is the most financially realistic.
Two things that must change. End of season rewards returned for 2v2 and 5v5. Before Kata came out,
I think that this is not a bad call, but I think that they need to be a different title for each bracket so that you have a reason to play each bracket. And do you know what the funny thing is, right? They weren't going to do this. They removed titles from these other brackets because people told them to, right? Because loads of people from private servers and whatever, like, told they were like elitists. They didn't want the titles coming from twos or whatever, because twos is fucked due to rest of shamans or whatever. So they were like, oh yeah, we need to have titles from threes only, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, just make unique titles. People that can then choose what they want to fucking play. Life After You Accept, / Realize Blizzard. Yeah, it's just, it's not even that they don't care to a degree. It's like, I think with the classic team, they care, but they just care about different shit, right? They care, like I said, they're putting out fires. The team is not big enough for them to pick and choose, or to care about everything, right? They have to pick and choose to care about the stuff that is going to net them the most people playing it, the most subs. That's what it is at the end of the day. It's a business, right? So I kind of get that. There's not that many people doing PvP because they killed it off. Like, so now they're in the same situation as they were the first time around, right? They fucked up in Wrath. Kata is dog shit. They fucked up in TBC as well, to be fair. Like, TBC was popping off, man. But they fucked up. No cross-realm, no catch-up. Teams are fucking terrible. Not accessible. There goes your player base. Bye-bye. Now you've only got your extreme hardcore people left. And then you wonder why people aren't doing PvP. You killed it before it had a chance. Like, and now you don't care, which is fair. But it's just, like, it's always too little too late.
Dampening start earlier. Dampening is introduced in MoP, and I believe it's on a 10-minute timer. In the 2v2 bracket, this literally feels like a lifetime. The nature of 2v2 is slower. He wants dampening. All right, the nature of 2v2 is slower pace, so I think it's very important.
I think dampening is one of the worst things that has ever been added to the game. It's literally a band-aid for poor balancing and poor design. Games should, if you look at TBC, you look at Wrath, you don't need dampening. Right? Games naturally reach a conclusion through mechanics that classes have. Through DRs. Through running out of cooldowns. Right? Through mana. You don't need dampening to fucking force your hand. Because everything is broken. Right? It's terrible. The fact that the game needs dampening just goes to show it's the design for classes around PvP is just non-existent. There is zero consideration when they're designing classes right now in retail. That is right. Obviously, they're not designing classes in Classic anymore. But yeah, I mean, even look at SOD, right? PvP is completely in the bin in SOD because they couldn't even put like some resilience on the items or whatever for the on the PvP items to counteract the absurd PvE scaling items or whatever, right? That's ridiculous now, right? People are doing like 30k deeps or something instead of 1k. No wonder everyone's one-shotting each other. But it's just like I mean, I remember in phase 3, damage was ramping out of control, going from phase 2 to phase 3, and they reworked some of the items and they actually took some of the stamina off some of the PvP gear. Like, it's just mental. Like, there's just zero understanding whatsoever.
Custom slots for end-of-season reward titles. This means that instead of having the traditional 0.1% of the ladder obtaining rank 1 and 0.5% obtaining Gladiator, I think there should be a set amount of spots available per bracket that is eligible for titles. And this example could be the top 100 of each bracket will be eligible for rank 1 and top 250 eligible for Gladiator. We want that too. I think that would be great in retail. I'm going to be honest, guys. Like, this is another...
Why? Because not enough people are playing the game, so there's no slots? Maybe that's the issue. Maybe the issue that the game isn't fun, so no one wants to play it, so there's no slots.
Another thing that I want in retail. Like, I don't think that... First of all, I like spec-based rewards. I think it's good. At least
like, people should be playing the game because they enjoy the game, not because they want a rank 1 title. Like, I get it that the rank 1 title is like something hype to go for towards the end of the season, but like if you're not enjoying the game, you're not going to bother going for it in the first place, right? If you're a lower player and you know that there's no chance you're going to get rank 1, you know, these people also need to want to play the game, right? And if the game is not fun, you're just going to have less players playing overall, and what happens? There's no titles because it's a percentage of the overall player base.
Solo brackets.
So like this is like a band-aid, right, for a bigger problem, a way bigger problem, but people are just not looking at the root problems at all. Even in this post, he's not looking at the root problems.
For example, that 20 Frost Mages...
It's all just band-aids.
You know, an end-of-season reward in Solo Shuffle, and 3 Arcane Mages do. And I actually got one of those titles, so I'm not complaining because of that, but I think it's really weird. Another one. Here's another one that's really weird. Why did 50 Disc Priests get a title? You know, and what, like 5 Holy Priests or something like that? I feel like it should at least be consistent, and I'd rather see more. Like, I'd rather there be more...
The problem is... Okay, here's the issue, right? And like, I get that. It's inconsistent and it's dumb, but that's down to balancing as well, right? If Holy Priest is dog shit, less people play it. But the thing is, if you just had it the way it is, right? But then you just say it was the exact same balance, right? And there's 100 disc slots because disc is poggers and everyone's playing it and it's great. There's 5 Holy Priest slots because it sucks and no one wants to play it. What happens if you literally make 100 for each? You're going to literally get Holy Priests that are 1.5k or whatever getting a title. You know, people will just play Holy to a really low level just to get a title. Just because they're spamming titles. Instead of actually making the spec good. Like earlier, I was playing some more within, right? In the start of at the start of the season, we were doing some shuffles, and Holy was terrible. Disc was owning. We played a bunch of disc. It was great. Holy terrible. And what you like? There was multiple patches where the changes were like 10% more healing on renew in PvP and stuff. Like absolutely bonkers out of touch changes. Just made no sense. Like it was like 1% of the changes that they needed to make, right? Just completely cooked. And then I think in one of the most recent patches, now Holy is pretty good, right? And one of the most recent patches, it was like fucking 300% more healing on this, 200% more healing, like on like 5-6 different big things. But just reg PvE and for the PvP change, it was like an insane amount of stuff. And it's just like, you could have just done this earlier on. It's too little, too late, right? And then you wonder why there's no slots. And you need to say, oh yeah, we need 100 slots for Holy. No, fucking balance the spec. It doesn't take a genius, right? Like if the spec is good, people will play it. There will be spots. Take some fucking time. Oh, I'm getting pissed off. Like, I swear, man, every time I, like, think about this shit with Blizzard, it just pisses me off. Just the ineptitude and just lack of care and attention and time put in. It's just... Like, this is why when I played retail, I was just completely apathetic. I was like, I'm just going to play it. I'm not going to care. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to think about why stuff's dumb. I'm not going to think about why they don't give a shit. Like, I'm just going to just close my eyes, put my head in the sand, fucking click some buttons. Like, actually trying to be motivated to care about the health of the game and be passionate about the health of the game and it ever being good. WoW is like this eternal debate of what it could be. And it will never be because of Blizzard and their business model. And it's this eternal feeling of, oh man, this could have been so good. This could be so good. I've been feeling about that like that for about fucking 20 years, bro. If they did this, it'd be so good. If they did that, it'd be so good. What do? Fuck all. It's literally that we are literally conditioned to accept the bare minimum and be thankful for it. Instead of fucking boycotting this shit because it's pathetic. Go and look at fucking Ascension or Turtle Wow or whatever. Like, look at all the shit they're trying. Insane amounts of stuff. These are shitty private servers. Like, why can they do it? Why can they try different things? Why can they get it right? Why do they understand the fucking game? Why do they understand what classes need? Why do they fix shit when it's broken? Before fucking 6 months later and everyone's quit the game. Okay, I'm done running.
Yeah, I don't
Let's carry on.
If you use Cataclysm Season 10 as an example, only 8 people were eligible for rank 1. And when you see that, they realize it's too far out of reach, they don't bother playing it in the first place. Dude, this is... Not
everyone plays the game to get rank 1. Okay, this is another thing. Like, you can't just assume that everyone that PvPs is like, okay, let's PvP, we're gonna go for rank 1. The thing is, it's a lot. You like the way you learn PvP. And this is how I learned PvP. You learn PvP from the ground up. So you start with dueling. This is how I started. I started with dueling. You learn what all the classes do by dueling them, right? And this was the first thing I did. And then I started doing more twos. And then you like learn a bit of strategy and like how to play with other people and communication and whatnot. And then you play threes because it's faster and there's more stuff going on and there's more to take in and there's more to try and avoid and do and whatnot, and strategy is more complex. But like if you start with threes, you're just getting overwhelmed and you're just fucked, right? So if the game doesn't have twos, you're kind of missing that stepping stone of learning. So if people are trying to come into the game and twos is just dead, like they just quit. They come in. I mean, dueling in carries also just fucked. So there's another stepping stone that's gone. So people come in, they do some battlegrounds maybe, and then they're like, oh, I want to do some arena. Well, twos sucks. Rest of shams are ridiculous. Like there's no point. We're just gonna run around trying to hit into Riptide for 40 minutes. It's just boring. Okay, we'll go threes instead, and then they just get stomped, and they're like, what the fuck just happened? I have no idea. Fuck this. Let's go and play Valorant or fucking Fortnite or whatever. You know? It's just like, you can't be surprised that it's dead. Like, there needs to be these stepping stones, and it needs to be, like, accessible for people that don't want to play, don't want to farm 12 hours a day of honor farm, right? Or, like, want to play an ult, but, oh, damn, we didn't place it at the start of the season, so we lost all this conquest, right? The conquest catch-up is insane. I think if they add in shuffle, the shuffle needs to queue into the main ladder, because otherwise you're going to ruin activity. So you're just queuing on the main ladder, but with shuffle people, and then you'll build up your shuffle rating, but you'll still be playing on the normal pool. And then you can get a regular rank 3 title at the end. Obviously, they'll be higher than people in shuffle, unless it's like Chan or something, probably. And then it's like all the shuffle people can get their own individual title as well. So there's multiple things that you can do. And then you can also find people to play with by doing shuffle. So yeah, searching for 30 minutes to find a partner in this extremely lackluster LFG tool, and then they leave after one game, is just so toxic for the game. It's horrible. This was the things that I was saying, Dak. Teams need to be gone. Conquest catch-up needs to be in. Cross-Realm needs to be in. And Honor Farm needs to be nerfed. That's like the 4 big things that we need for TBC relaunch. Like, if we have those, it's got a good chance of doing really well. 5th thing is potentially the shuffle queuing into the main ladder. Don't know how it would affect things. Definitely be an interesting one. But I think if they do a separate solo shuffle or whatever, like they have on retail, I think it's just really bad for activity everywhere else.
My biggest thing, guys, and I really believe this, I think I'm not gonna I'll reserve judgment until the end, but I will say, like, all of these I like, but like when it comes to the reward stuff, it seems like it benefits such a small amount of people. You know, I want to talk about changes that actually benefit like normal people.
This is what I said.
Normal players aren't
Same
playing,
thing.
There's no game. You know, like, I think, you know what I mean? Like, Gladiator titles and Rank 1 titles are for like 1% of the player base. The other 99%, I think we should focus on that too.
I mean, if you're Blizzard, those are the people that you are focusing on, right? Let's be honest right now. Like, maybe the top 1% are more visible and vocal and whatnot, but the most of the, that 99% are the ones that are making up your game, right? You have to take that into consideration. Like, the top 1% is almost like your promotion or your advertising for the game, right? So you need to consider them as well. And I think if the game is good, then they will be happy and promote it passively. And then people will come, and the masses will come, and they will play it, and they will enjoy it too, right? Yearly revenue from 1% of PvP as subs won't pay for a single dev's week page. I mean, this is like a little bit extreme, right? But like, I get what you're saying. It's the thing is, you're not looking for at the revenue directly from those 1% PvPers subs, right? You're looking at how many people those 1% PvPers actually impact and draw into the game because of their stream and audience and whatnot. Because they see them playing and having fun, and then they come back. That's the value of pleasing that 1%. That's what I mean. It's like it's essentially advertising for them.
On season 12 gear, season 12 gear doesn't have PvP power on it, and it might cause a huge imbalance. I'd encourage adding it. Season 12. What is season 12? Is that the first season? Why is there no PvP power on season 1 gear? PvE gear is better than PvP gear. I think there was just Brazil. Oh, okay, yeah, we need PvP. Like, nobody's gonna PvE. Nobody wants to PvE. I'm telling you guys, it's gonna be very important. I didn't even know this. One of the biggest selling points to MoP for me was that I remember PvP gear being the best. So if that's not the case in season 12, I feel like it's dead on arrival.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm being...
The season 12 gear not having PvP power, that's the kind of shit that the jam in Discord would have been like, if you don't do this, there's no point in making it. Like, just straight up. It's just dead. Like, people aren't going to play it. And this is the kind of thing that Blizzard's always too late on, right? This is the kind of thing that's going to be like, it will launch, it will be fucked. People will try the game, it will be fucked. They don't want to raid, they quit. 2 months goes by, half the season goes by. Blizzard's like, we've adjusted the PvP gear, it now has PvP power on it. And everyone that tried it at the start, they're like, well, we don't care, we're doing something else now. Like, great for the people that are playing, but I'm not going back. and then you lose half your player base, and then that shit goes down because when it's inactive and the hype is gone, it goes down a lot quicker, right? If the hype is there, they retain way more. And this is what happened with Wrath as well, right? They were late fixing shit. They were a season late fixing Cross Realm. No one could play. Everyone was stuck in queue, or they got forced to transfer off to some bongwater server with nobody to play with. Because all of their mates were on another server, and they're like, well, I guess I'll go play something else. I can't play. It's always too little too late, and I guarantee you this PvP power thing is going to be one of them. 100%. This is like classic fucking Blizzard.
Shuffle / support system. Finding partners for arena is one of the biggest issues and obstacles that people face today. Solo shuffle. People spend hours in LG searching for teammates just to be met by people lying about their arena experience and general toxicity and impatience.
I feel like solo shuffle, the way that it is in retail, the queues are just fucked for DPS, right? So I don't even know if this is going to solve what he's looking for. Like, I think if they bring solo queue into Classic, it can't be solo shuffle. It has to be queuing into the main ladder, just straight up. One game, done.
But returning the PP tab to LFG would be a good start. That is still, can anyone please explain to me why they removed the PvP tab from LFG?
It makes no sense, right?
I'm gonna need someone.
What do they gain from doing that? It's in. You literally have to work to take it out. Why do it? What do you gain from, like, genuinely, as anyone in chat know what they actually gain from taking it out?
To explain that to me, like, when I saw that, I thought it was a bug. In Classic, they literally removed the PvP tab from LFG. Why? Like, who? I need to know why. I don't get it.
Dude, when Ven is getting pissed off about something, you know you fucked up. Like, real talk.
Like, I don't understand. They removed, there was a PvP tab at LFG, and they intentionally removed it. Can anybody please explain that to me? Because that seems insane. Okay. Anyways. Keep in mind that adding Solo Shuffle Classic would mean that a lot more player and work, and the necessity to come up with new titles, from what I understand. We don't have the luxury to do that. So,
I'm sorry, what? Adding Solo Shuffle to Classic would also mean a lot more work and the necessity to come up with new titles. Wow, man, what a fucking burden. Coming up with a couple more titles every season. Every 3 months, you've got to think of 2 new adjectives. Holy fuck. Yeah, man, the dev time is going to go through the roof on that one.
You just queued up for solo, it just put you in 3s. There's no solo shuffle, there's no 6 rounds.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about.
They literally just, you queue 3s as a solo player, it puts you in a 3s team. Apparently there's some like secret server that has that. I wonder if that would be a better system. And you have like a solo queue rating. And so like what I would say is if they're going to do that where you can solo queue 3v3, I think you have to only play against other solo players. Maybe you could duo. Like if you're a healer, you can pick up a duo.
And you're not queuing into the regular ladder. Then that makes no sense. That makes no sense. Then you just have your own solo queue ladder. If you can only face other solo players, then it's just a solo ladder, right? You need to keep everyone together for the activity.
I don't really know. Maybe that would be the advantage of actually playing a healer.
Hasn't Warmate solved this like 10 years ago? Yeah, this is what we're saying, right? That like the private servers are so much faster at solving these issues than Blizzard is, and it's really frustrating. You could say like I want to play melee caster healer, or I want to play double cast, or I want to play double melee, or whatever. Problem is you're not always going to get that because of queue times or whatever. So it needs to be like a compromise. Obviously, you're always compromising. Like the eternal compromise is queue time versus game quality, right? Game quality being like how close people are in terms of like matching, win rates, comps, things like that. So the more variables you put into that via people choosing stuff, the more compromises that have to be made. So it makes the system that you need that much more complex. And I don't think they have the manpower to put in something like that that's like really complex. Well, we gotta get through this, man. I've talked so much.
Like Battleground Blitz on retail right now.
I think just a better solution is just keeping it simple. You just queue into the ladder. You say like you want to play melee caster healer, double melee, double caster. That's your options. It tries to pry you into one of those options. If it can't, it can't. And now you're just queuing into the main ladder. You'll probably be lower rating than some of the higher teams, but you're going to be playing. You can play against other people solo queuing. You can play against people doing regular 3s, 2s, whatever. And now it's going to bolster the activity of the ladder. It's going to help people find teammates. And at the end of the day, if you're solo queuing, you're not going for that ranked 3s title or ranked 2s title. You're going for a separate solo queue title. You're placed in terms of your rating on a different ladder, but you're still queuing into the main pool. That makes sense.
Cross-faction arena. In my opinion, we should introduce every quality of life change that would increase PvP participation. Why not allow for cross-faction queuing? MoP is a more modern expansion, and I think that would be a great change. Yes. Absolutely. I don't think they'll change that, but
I think that this kind of thing is like the only people that would complain about that are people that have played a load of MoP private servers and have learned the meta there and want to get an unfair advantage. I say unfair. They want to get an edge over people when it goes live, right? Because they know the meta already, right? But the meta is going to shift if you can play with different, if you can play with cross factors. Tiny kitten. Tiny kitten. Get out. It's Lunar Street. Thanks. Come on. The meta is going to shift slightly if you can play like Night Elf Rogue Undead Priest, for example, or whatever. So I don't think this is a bad thing whatsoever. I think that this would be good to bring in, especially if you're going to have cross servers and things like solo queue and all sorts. Yeah.
It would be a good
I genuinely don't know how much work it would be for them to do this. It sounds like it probably is a pain in the ass, just because of the nature and the design of the game. But
yeah,
I don't know the code.
There's nothing more discouraging for players to feel like you're not progressing because MMR inflation doesn't exist from the start. Wow. When you're playing arenas that you feel like you're making progress and seeing your rating go up, it's validating and fun. We've seen both retail and classic that happens. There's no inflation. The average player ends up facing rank 1 gladiators on their usual MMR, and it's discouraging, and it makes them not want to play. And they have to be matched against people with their own skill group. Nice. This makes the average player not play until later in the season when the ratings are higher, normally within their MMR range, or they just don't play later in the season.
I think that at least last time I played classic, I think the inflation was okay. The issue was the cap. We had an MMR cap, and at some point, that wasn't increasing fast enough, and we had a lot of people just basically playing at MMR cap, and it was basically the ceiling where everyone was just getting crammed up against the ceiling, right? And you'd have people at, I think the highest people were like 3.1, and then you'd have glads at like 3k, and everyone was just mashed together. So you could have this huge discrepancy of like quality of games and players that you would face at basically the same rating. So basically the same thing that they're talking about here happened, but at the other end, right? So I think that that's something that definitely needs to be monitored and you know, adjusted
from the beginning and gradually increase. So there are, you guys, having insane.
I don't think that insane ratings should be a thing. I think that I think what they should be aiming to do is understanding roughly how long the season's going to be, and they want to be aiming to have the highest people at 3k at the end of the season. I think I don't think having a different goal each season is good, right? I think that it can be too much, and I think that having your end rating and your start rate, say you start at 1.5 and the top rating is like around 3k, right? You can time that so that the inflation is appropriate for that as you get to the end of the season, right? And you just do that every single time. You can adjust it slightly or more or less as the season goes on, because obviously they don't know exactly when it's going to end. But obviously it's also like a bell curve, right? In terms of the number of people at each rating. But if your rank 1 players are 3k, then it's like Glad is going to be like 2.7, right? And then you've got this appropriate like gap, because you can go on a lucky streak, right? You can be like 2.7, right? And you can get a lucky streak. I say lucky, like you just happen to have some good matchups. You happen to face some people that are, you know, aren't as good on higher ratings because they had lucky matchups or whatever, right? And suddenly you're like 100 rating higher, right? There's really not that big of a difference in terms of player skill between say 2.7 and 2.8, right? It's just, did you have a good queue session? And now you're suddenly 2.8, right? But it's this artificial difference. It doesn't exist. There's not some line at Glad where you're like, okay, now this player is so much better because we're 5 rating higher or 50 rating higher, you know? It's blurred. Sometimes you just get good matchups for your comp, right? And then you'll suddenly be 100 rating higher and you'll be like, oh, I'm a 2.8 player now. Like, it goes up and down. It varies. There's so much variance, right? If you're learning the game, you will lose that again, right? It's not like you don't just have a queue session and go up and then have another queue session and go up and have another queue session and go up when you're learning the game, right? That's not how it works, right? It's like the path to the top is not a straight line.
Or within the ladder stats, I think it'll show here. So if we go to Battleground Blitz and we go to rating distributions, let's see. So this is one of the problems when you have that system is, so this is actually an experiment we could see in real time. So this is Battleground Blitz. Let me just look at both of these.
This is kind of like the bell curve that I was talking about, right? There's your bell curve. Okay, you got some weird outliers at certain ratings, but like for all intents and purposes, there's your bell curve, right? 1500 is your most players at this rating, and then you got the fewest up here, and then obviously the further and further we go, the worse it is. Obviously you can go this way as well, but it's just not shown.
So this is Battleground Blitz. Everyone is just clumped.
It should end like here. If it's designed correctly in terms of how much MMR you gain and lose and whatnot, then you should be looking like Blizzard should already know roughly what the top player is going to be based on the inflation for that week, aside from some absurd win streak of somebody just winning everything. you know, at some point they're not going to gain any more points, right? So it's artificially capped because of that.
Like, I think there should be inflation, but I don't necessarily think it needs to be 4,000 because I think it does create some problems. But I also think what he's talking about here is, that's why I honestly think Gladiator is better when it's an end of season reward. I'm just gonna say it. I think it's better when Gladiator's an end of season.
I don't like the 2-400 Glad either. Just saying.
That's what I think. Disable class stacking in arena. Class stacking should be disabled for the same reason double healer composition is allowed. Promotes stale and lame gameplay for the most part. It's overpowered. Double rogue compositions in TBC and Wrath Lich King are good examples. Double healer compositions. By the way, you're still able to respec inside of arena. Do you play double healer, which makes people play double healer? Yeah, no double healer. I don't know if I care about class stacking that much.
I don't like double healer in Wrath. I don't like double healer in Kata. I don't know if I mind it too much in TBC, but I think in terms of like, if you want to be consistent, probably take it out of that. But there's some cool double healer comps in TBC. TBC is generally a lot more raw and a lot more punishing when it comes to resources. So like double healer can go a lot more. So I think that there is more room for it in TBC, but also is it enough of a problem in TBC that people hate it so much that it should be removed? I think double rogue absolutely needs to go. I think double rogue, if you want your game, I think they need to make a specific case with double rogue and just bin it off. I think if you want the game to do well and you want people to enjoy the game, I think that removing that just as a fringe case, yes, it's not an elegant solution, but I think removing it does way more good than harm.
Thank you for reading, and once again, I want to emphasize the importance of discussing everything in a friendly and constructive manner. Whether you agree with me or not, if we're being negative and hateful towards each other, the developers, then how could we expect them to listen? Let's work together and show them that we're a strong and passionate community.
Like, I just think it's copium. Like, I respect the hell out of Boyki for trying, but I've been there, bro. Been there, done that. Just good luck. Like, let's see if they do any one of these things, you know?
My personal opinion is if they don't make any changes to classic PvP, you're going to see participation just fall off a cliff.
It's if they don't change anything, it's going to be the same thing as in Kata. Maybe a little bit slower because I think MoP is generally a bit more fun, but it's going to be the same fucking thing.
Like,
just delayed by a month or two. This is what I meant about, like, when it's high, the longevity it's a lot easier to maintain that longevity than when it's low, because you have the game. The hype. The hype is a big driving factor of people playing.
Saw in Wrath and Kata and, yeah. Anyways, yeah.
True. Features out soon. Yeah, I don't even know where to forward anything, to be honest. Yeah, I think I'm beyond giving a shit. To be honest, I think I'm gonna enjoy TBC when it comes out, but trying to impact Blizzard and get them to do anything is just too painful. I can't. It's not worth my time and effort and energy. We'll just ride the wave and see what the fuck happens. Take it for what it is. I just don't have the energy left anymore to try and impact anything or convince them of anything. They're just a brick wall. Anyway, GG's.